G'day, Heath here from pickinglessons.com. Midnight on the Water. This arrangement on the guitar is in open D tuning and it makes it for a really lovely and interesting way of going about it. We're supporting our melody with a bunch of chords and harmony within the tuning and approaching the melody in a slightly different way at times as well, but it's a great way of playing it, a bit different. You could use this version on your own, but you could also use it to back up another melody instrument, a fiddle, a mandolin or whatnot. It's going to work really well. In a moment, I'm going to take a look at part A of the arrangement here in this video, but if you head over to pickinglessons.com, you can grab yourself a copy of the tablature. In the members section there, we'll break down the lesson for part B, and you'll also have some play-along tracks once you get to know the tune as well. Now, first thing we need to do to have a look at this arrangement is get into the tunings. We're in open D. And so open D, it's an open D major chord, and so from string 6 we have a low D, A is standard, D is standard, but then the F sharp, the A, and the D. So getting into that tuning is important, but what it does do is give us that open D chord, and we're going to really use that to support our melody as we move through. Now, we're playing in 3/4 time, it's a waltz, and we're also using a shuffle feel, so uneven eighths, 1 and 2 and 3 and. There's a few techniques we need to make sure we're going to really work on to get right. So one of them is a rest stroke, and the rest stroke we'll have a look at with both the chord strums for our melody and single melody notes as well. It works. We've got a bit of string picking, cross picking going on through too. So as we approach these techniques, we'll have a look at them. What we might do is just go straight from measure 1. So measure 1 is that D chord. Melody's on the F sharp, so that 3rd string. Yeah. Just the first 2 beats to begin with. Now, as I strum through, that melody is the last note, and we don't want to hear the 1st and 2nd strings. They don't want to be played. So one of the things we can do is use the rest stroke technique to come to rest on string 2 as we strum through. Number 1, it's going to stop us from playing those last 2 strings, but secondly, it strengthens the melody. By approaching it with a rest stroke, that last note just pops out because it wants to be a little stronger. So essentially the rest stroke is just having that pick. If you angle it slightly upwards, and as you play through that note, it will come to a rest on string 2. It's a bit harder to play if you keep your pick pointing more at the guitar. It can be done, but it's not really as smooth a sound. So if you point your pick upwards slightly, it will move across that string in a nice full sound, and you'll come to rest on that 2nd string, and it gives you a bit of control in what you're doing. So that strum, and anytime we have a chord strum with that melody as the last note, that's a great technique. You can continue the technique for the regular melody notes as well. So don't have to, but you can. It's not applied to an upstroke, it's only a downstroke, but it does tend to offer some extra warmth and volume without having to play too hard to achieve it. So pick up notes before we get to the 1st chord are on beat 3. So 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and. Yeah, using that rest stroke. 2nd measure is the same. Let's just go from the pickup note, put the 2 bars together. 2, 3. There's measure 3 there. Again, same chord, melody notes on the F sharp. I tend to approach this with a floating hand, not anchoring in any way. You could probably anchor and that would be fine, but there's a fair bit of movement happening, so not anchoring I think helps, but it also means you have to have a fair level of control in your right hand because there's a bit of movement across the strings as we move through. We'll check it out as we go. So the 3rd measure, we're moving on to string 2, and as we finish our brush on string 3 with the rest stroke, we can just continue on string 2 with the hammer on. Measure 4, hammer on, pull off triplet on string 2. So again, a brush through the chord, accompanying what we're playing, but a nice strong melody as we get there. Back to string 3, the F sharp for the melody. There's our pickup notes again. Measure 5. Here we're jumping to the G chord, so we'll get our melody on F sharp again with the D chord. Open D. And it's G position, so 2nd finger, 3rd finger, making sure string 5 is muted. We don't want the A in the G chord. Melody there on string 3, that's the B note. So 1, 2, 3, measure 6. Just like measure 4. Last 2 measures as we move through to the repeat. Okay, there's our melody again, that's an easy one. Here we're going to double the melody up with an octave. So our melody is the E, F sharp, E, and we're going to double up the octave on string 1. So both these strings, so same fret is an octave, and we're going to slide. The open A string there is absolutely fine, so that's part of it, but you'll probably mute out string 3, which is all good, just with that underneath the second finger. And we're going to slide back and forth in that triplet, so 3 and a. So that 7th measure, 1, 2, 3. Letting everything ring as we go. We'll chat about that in a moment. And then open chord to finish there on the top 4 strings and the low D on the second beat. Pick up note, beat 3 to get around for the second time. So because we're in this open D tuning, you can and you kind of want to let the open strings ring for as long as they ring for. Yeah, it will support what we're playing. It gives it a really particular sound for this way of going about it and this open tuning. So certainly let those notes ring. When we're fretting notes, of course, we kill the open string, but when an open string is allowed to ring out, it's going to keep supporting and create some atmosphere behind the melody. So that's important. The rest stroke, whether it's a single note or part of the chord, works really well to strengthen the melody, remembering the melody wants to be more dominant than the chords. The low strings are quite strong anyway, but if we strengthen the melody with a rest stroke, it helps bring it up in balance. Then of course a couple of hammer-on pull-offs in there as well, and that slide. They're kind of the moments we're going to make sure you're okay with. But let's go from the top. We'll just play once through. It does repeat, but we'll just have a once through to get a bit of a feel for what's happening here. So from the pickup notes on beat 3, 1, 2, 3. Go for a second time. So melody nice and strong, let the notes ring out, and of course those other couple of techniques in there as well. And I do tend to approach this with that floating hand, but if you want to anchor, you could get away with anchoring as well. Okay, so pickandlessons.com, you can grab the tablature for this arrangement. In the member section there, we'll break down the lesson for part B, and you'll have some play along tracks there as well once you get to know it. So pickandlessons.com, I'll see you there.